the FCS CheckDown. We're live on Facebook. Nathan McCreary, Coach Ron Jackson, and a super special guest, Coach Glenn Caruso, joining us from the St. Thomas Tommies football program. Coach, we're going to jump right in. And, man, how the heck are you? What a start to the season you guys have had. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me on. I mean, I've seen this show a bunch. And when our SID said, hey, do you want to go on? She didn't even finish a sentence. I said, yep. You guys are awesome at what you do. And I know it's easy to, take a look at a lot of the bigger schools, but I think there's a ton of great football that's going on coast to coast and border to border in the FCS. And I just love that you guys are prioritizing that. So thank you.
Well, and I tell you, Kelsey was great, by the way. She helped me out big time, so really appreciate her, your SID over there. But, we started this podcast because of FCS deserved good attention, and it was audio. This is our first time doing video. Coach Ron Jackson actually was a listener, and he kind of came on. Brandon Joseph, who couldn't be here tonight, he's got two young children. We started the podcast, and that's really what we want to do is provide a platform for schools like Gardner-Webb. We interviewed Coach Reisert on Sunday, and like St. Thomas, because, the Montanas and Dakotas get enough attention, you know what I'm saying? We're going to bring attention to some of these smaller programs, and we're super excited to have you. Let's jump into first just a little bit about your program. Division III to Division I transition, the first one to ever do it. And now this year you are fully eligible, playoff ready. You guys are going. I imagine it was a lot of work between you and Dr. Phil Eston, who took over about 4 years ago. Just kind of talk about that, your program and that transition.
Well, and it's been amazing. We've been at other schools that are, you probably talked about on the show. I know you have. We've been at South Dakota, at North Dakota State for a decade. And we've enjoyed those transitions and at least being a part of the beginning conversations. And really, when we got here a long time ago, Nathan. We got here 18 years. I'm old and took this job over really young. And over 18 years, we went from basically being 2-8 and playing 4 homecoming games that first year. And sweetheart, wow. Only one is ours. Like only one is ours, right? So yeah. We were everybody's homecoming game, and we went from that to having a good deal of success, and then getting kicked out by our old conference. And we said, what's next? And this was 2017, 18. These talks were going on, and I fully believe that we can make a jump to Division I. In comes Dr. Phil Eston, got hired in 2019. President Rob Vischer, just did an amazing job. And it's been sort of an unreal journey with zero map. And wow. It's been wicked awesome. And I love it for that reason.
That is fantastic, Coach. I know Coach Jackson's going to step in here and talk about that. But when you say you had to find a new conference, it really was the competitive advantage that the conference felt like you had, and said that you guys were just too good. Is that kind of that sums it up?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for those people. They can say what they want. All I'm saying is that might be what they felt. I know this. What we did here was something that I think was really unique. I think it was entrepreneurial. And when, they were getting ready to say, we don't want to play you anymore, we started not just looking at different conferences, but different divisions. And that's really what led us to this. And to your point 3 minutes ago, totally unique, really rare, making the jump from Division III to Division I. And it takes a lot. It really does. It's not just a football coach trying to say, hey, let's go do this. It's an administration. It's a locker room. It's an alumni base. It's a culture. And when we made the jump, I think a lot of people thought that we were really crazy. And fine by me. That's okay. And we ended up going undefeated through our conference in the second year, still not playoff eligible.
Right.
And we were blessed. I thought we were blessed beyond belief to be able to go from, a 14 or 15 year moratorium of not going to the playoffs to the NCAA allowing us 5 years. And then our leadership did an amazing job, and we accelerated that. And so they said, you're playoff eligible now. And I don't know if we have a team that's good enough to go. I have no idea, but the next 12 weeks will tell us.
Well, you certainly started off well. Let's talk about this Lindenwood game. 35-13 was the score there versus Lindenwood, a very good football program that they're kind of doing their own thing. We're going to take a look at some stats here, Coach. And you see here the 35-13 win. Andy Peters, 11 for 18, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, 3 rushing. Coach, this game was a year ago, 64-0. You avenged this loss. 5 different Tommies scored touchdowns. I mean, you had to have been really, really excited that, number one, you got another shot at Lindenwood. Number 2, you come away with a victory.
Yeah, really proud. And you're right. It was 64-0. And if I'm being honest, Coach and Nate, it really wasn't that close that last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been in the 80s. And, one of the things I learned from going through the experience where teams didn't want to compete with us was that I wasn't going to shy away from competition, and I didn't want guys to shy away from competition. Lindenwood and Coach has done an unbelievable job. Coach Stugart, I mean, they're in a similar situation where they too are transitioning, and they put a lot of resources into their program. And I think Coach Stugart does a great job, a lot of really good things. But they really got after us last year, and we're not used to losing. We don't have a whole lot of them, let alone double-digit touchdowns. And I think it speaks to the players. We didn't say what the score was for the last year. You don't have to when you get thundered like that. And our players truly, I mean, but they focused on each other. They focused on what they can control. And I didn't even realize it until you just said it, Nate. I mean, 5 different guys scored. We were as balanced as we could be. We ran the ball, and I'm really proud of that. Grateful and proud.
Coach, it was 7-7 at halftime. You missed a field goal going into halftime. What was your message to the team in the locker room, knowing the third quarter was coming and you really had to pick it up to get a win?
Yeah, I don't know if I could say the exact words. And look, I'm not. I mean, come on, you guys been there, right? I mean, I'm not a huge pregame speech guy. I mean, we'll talk about what we need to do, but I am a big halftime speech guy. And
I believe
think a lot of that. Yeah, right. I mean, it's like I've seen we've been fortunate to be able to find ways to be successful throughout 4 quarters. And I'm not going to be the guy that says start fast and finish stronger. Although, I said that in a derogatory tone. If you're that type of guy, so be it. I'm just saying it's a process and we need to learn. And a lot of times I think nowadays everyone's fixated on very acute things. And if you get off to a good start, then this is how, and there's a myriad of ways to win, man. And it's like, we'll figure it out. And sometimes we don't, but if we figure it out, usually by halftime, our defense settled in. Our offense found a way to run the ball and then pick up third downs. And it's not tough. I mean, I love it, but it's just football. So you just have to find a way in that game. It's all a puzzle.
One of the notes I took was you start the third quarter, 7-play drive for a touchdown. Lindenwood responds with a 45-yard touchdown reception, and then you guys came right back and scored. I thought that says a lot about your team, Coach.
Well, you know what? Thank you for mentioning that, because not a lot of people talk about how the scores happen and how you answer. And number one, hats off to Lindenwood, because we scored our first touchdown. They came right back and they scored their first touchdown. And, then we end up scoring after half. They come right back scoring after half. Now, they missed the PAT, which is a big deal. I'm not going to explain why. But I thought that next possession of defense where we were able to stop them, and then we were able to gap them. I told our players, they all know the stats. And when we get up by 3 scores, we're 104-0 when we get up by 3 scores. And I'm proud of that over the last 20 years. And that takes everybody, special teams, defense, and offense.
Coach, you have good teams take advantage of opportunities. Lindenwood gets a fumble. You make that final score. I think actually you may have scored twice after that, but turning those turnovers into points is huge, especially early in the season. It takes a team that's pretty mature to understand that.
Well, I think so. And Coach Jackson, I mean, you know how it is. If you win the turnover battle, your ability to win is, I'm sure you experienced that over the years, right, Coach?
That is exactly right. That's one of the top stats in winning football.
We'll talk about.
So our guys get that.
Yeah, real quick. Talk about Andy Peters, your quarterback. One of the things I think you talked about during the post game was how you found Andy and what he's brought to your program.
Yeah, great dude. And look, all I'm going to say is when you get a guy who can play like he plays, and you can say, I want him to be our quarterback, but you can also say, if your daughter showed up at your front door with this type of guy, you would be so happy. When you have both of those things, and those are things we look at in recruiting, you're blessed beyond what you deserve. And Andy has those. Now, he didn't play perfect by any stretch of the
Sure.
imagination. He didn't, but he was able to earn the respect of our team in a short manner, and he's playing pretty well right now. We're very fortunate for that.
Defense, 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 8 pass breakups, Coach. They did some work out there.
They did, and the TFL, like you mentioned, that's a big one. And look, their guy. I mean, they had Lindenwood is. I think they are really poised to make a run. I truly do. I know they're well coached.
Yeah.
I know they're well supported. We've been there before, and it's a tough place to play. Trust me, it's a tough place to play. But their wide receivers were big and strong and athletic, and our guys, I think, maybe overachieved and maybe punched above their weight a little bit, and we made some plays, and it was a total team effort. I will say this: only one turnover in the game. Fortunately, Charlie Boucher knocked it out. Our guys hustled and recovered it. But for a first game for both sides, I would say pretty clean, very physical, kind of what you want to see in week 0.
Right.
Hey, Coach, listen. I've been a fan of your program for a little while, and I think y'all do things the right way. It's just an exciting program to follow. So, what I want to ask you about, not so much the game, but I read where I'm near capacity crowd, which I'm willing to bet there was probably a little bit over capacity. Tell me about your game atmosphere. How did that work out for you? And was it any different from any other Saturday that you played?
Well, and there, we've been blessed to be able to. I mean, there have been times where we're playing at home to go to the national championship game in the old division, right? And so there have been some pretty electric crowds. We played in front of, we set the national attendance record back in 16, 17 at 37,000.
Wow.
Again, for that level. So there have been there have been several, but this was unique because the day before we had sort of a welcome freshman and a pep rally. And guys, I'm telling you, like, these freshmen were locked in. I've spoken to big crowds. We all speak to them all the time, and these guys were locked in, and they didn't leave. Maybe the fact that it's 7-7 at halftime had something to do with it. Maybe the fact that it's their first college football game, being a student, had something to do with it. But it was electric, and the energy. And I say this to anybody who's out there listening, who's 17, 18, 19, like, I totally get it, bro. Like, it's so easy to be the cool kid. I totally get that. But you know what's really cool? Like, when you invest in something, when you're willing to buy into something and just go all in. And that's what our students did. And it absolutely helped us win that football game. Zero doubt.
Coach, you're in
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah, and you mentioned the crowd, and you sent Kelsey out to the student section. Hey, we're coming to sing. We're going to make our rounds, and that's great. That's kind of organic, kind of tradition, kind of stuff, which I love. But you also mentioned the book "Obstacles the Way" in your post game. I'm a leadership guy. I love leadership philosophies and principles. Who do you? Well, first of all, tell me a little bit about that book, and is there somebody that you look to just to, or maybe even get some good leadership philosophies that you would pass on to your student athletes?
No doubt. And I will tell you up front, I am not a football guy. I mean, I wish you had a full body shot. You can look at me and tell I'm not a football guy. Never been. I've been blessed to be on some really wicked, awesome teams that are hard coached, been around Hall of Fame coaches, and picked my schools, whether it be high school or college, or where I decide to coach based on leadership, to your point, Nathan. And it begins and ends. My alpha and my omega is my dad. There's no doubt.
Cool.
He's passed away now 20 plus years. My mom died when I was 8 years old on Christmas
Wow.
Day. My dad, oh yeah. And my dad moved his practice into the house so that he could raise his kids. And I fell in love with watching people debate. And, we weren't tremendously well off. So we didn't have like a nanny or an au pair. So if you were sick and my dad had to be in court, like your butt was in the back of the courtroom watching. And so I found myself enamored with watching him lead people and sway people. And I would pretend to be sick when I knew. I would ask the secretary, I would say, hey, when's he in court this week? And they'd say Thursday. And on Thursday morning, I'd take the old thermometer, I'd hold it up to the light bulb, and my dad would look at it and be like, 104.5. Okay, right. So
Right.
I loved it. And it all starts and ends with him. He's the best leader, not a football guy, but the best leader. And to your point, Nathan, like, I think a lot of times we try and find leadership in just the lane we're in. The reason why you're doing this podcast, the reason why it's going to explode is because you reach broader audiences, because you can speak to trying to lead people no matter what medium they're in. So obstacle is the way. I'm a big Stoic. I believe in Stoicism, whether it's Epictetus, whether it's Seneca, whether it's Marcus Aurelius, and just simply saying, look, and I'm not smart. Honestly, I'm not a very smart guy. I'm definitely not the smartest you're going to be on, but I do believe in thoughtfulness. And when
Yeah.
you can say this is what it is, you are much more likely to be able to overcome that thing. And so often, I'll wrap this up, but so often we try and dismiss obstacles from our child's or children's path, whether we're talking our kids or whether our football players. And I'm just telling you, sweethearts, like, the obstacle is the way. And until we're willing to embrace that and be honest with ourselves, you're never going to do anything memorable or leaving a legacy.
Well, you do have an obstacle coming this week, Coach. I hate to. You have the number 10 team in the FCS, Idaho, at Kibbie Dome, 4 o'clock on ESPN+. This is going to be a huge test for your program. Kind of talk about, obviously, you've watched the film from Lindenwood. You've probably spent a lot of time on Idaho. New coach. They've got a lot of changes. What's your thoughts going into this one?
Well, so we signed this thing. I'm realizing as we move from 3 to 1, like, we would decide on games the year before. Now you decide 4 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
And they were a little different 4 years ago now,
Yeah.
Coach Jackson. I mean, they were right. But I will tell you what, they hired what I would say is a great man and a great coach and a great friend in Jason Eck. And they hired him about 4 months after we signed the contract, and Jason turned him around. I mean, it's a program that we've kept an eye on for a long time, specifically because they went from FBS to FCS. And I think, unless I miss my guess, they might be the only one to ever do that voluntarily.
Right.
And when a program that historic, that tradition-based, that proud makes that decision back in 16, 17, 18, I mean, 7 years ago, we were playing for a Division III national championship, and they were playing in the Pac-12 or whatever they were in at that point, right? So they had made that decision, and you can only do that when you have a lot of belief in your program that it's the right thing. And so I wanted to schedule them no matter what. Obviously, they are really big, and they are really fast, and they are really athletic, and they will trump our guys in any one of those metrics. On top of that, we're playing in the Kibbie Dome, which, I mean, I had to go to Wikipedia to learn a little bit. I didn't know Jerry Kramer, the great Packer, was, played there and is in the Hall of Fame. I also didn't know he was drafted as a guard and a kicker, which you can only do in 1955.
That's
right. Wicked
That's
awesome.
Right.
And Jason built him up. And now, Coach Ford's taken him over this year. Their fans are among the best fans in the country. If we thought that we had an electric environment last week, I don't know what they're going to throw at me. I don't know what they're going to say at me, but you know what? Like, that's the beauty of FCS football. I've loved what I've learned about them, and they are tremendous. I mean, they gave Washington State all that Washington State can handle, and then some. They're as good as it gets. They really are. They've earned their top 10 ranking.
In an ugly way, and that's the way Idaho kind of does things. Jason Eck was on our program. We got a chance to talk to him. He fit that program so well, and I'm sure Thomas Ford Jr. is going to do great, but finding a way to win in an ugly way or compete in an ugly way, that seems like it's vandal football. So obstacles the way, Coach. You're going to have your hands full. But listen, we do wish you all the best. I wish Brandon could be here. He's got 2 young children, and he's being a father, which is where he should be. But he's been talking about your program. The Tommies he talks about them all the time, and I know he's hating missing this. But big shout out to him because he does love your football program. We're becoming fans of your football program. You got the coach's voice, Coach. We're all very looking forward to talking to you and finding out more about this program and finding out what they can do against a ranked FCS opponent.
Well, I'll say this. I'll leave you with two things. Number one, I'm not going to say that game, Washington State and Idaho, was ugly, because if you like running the football and playing good defense, it's actually a pretty sexy game. So let's not just pigeonhole it because it didn't have a lot of total yards. That's number one. Number two, okay. Brandon's exactly where he needs to be. And we took this job 20 years ago for our family, and so I get it. But you have us on some other time, Brandon. Grateful for you. Absolutely love what you're doing here. Thank you so much for highlighting the really neat players here at FCS football.
Of course. We're going to get a chance to talk to you later on in the season, Coach. Don't be a stranger. And please, again, thanks, Kelsey, so much for putting this together at such short notice. We really appreciate it. Best of luck this weekend, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that is Coach Glenn Caruso of St. Thomas, the Tommies. Coach Jackson, wow, man, I'm fired up, Coach. Let's go.
Dude,
it's football.
Let me tell you, who wouldn't want to go play for that guy right there, dude?
Dog.
He under the definition of coach. That his picture's right there, dude. I bet his kids will run through a brick wall anytime, and twice on Sundays for that man.
They're going to have to this weekend. Hey, by the way, speaking of Idaho, we got him comment on our show and said, "Hey, we didn't preview all the games. We just didn't have time on Sunday." They got a message from Riley Rentgis. Not sure how you pronounce it, Riley, but said, "Hey, y'all missed out on a game." So, Coach, for Riley, I want to just go back and preview the game that we missed. Let me see what I do with it. Here it is. Let's look at this game here. This is the Idaho Vandals versus Washington State. This is what I was talking about. Look at this. 3 yards rushing for your FBS opponent, Coach.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What? Yeah, amazing.
Now,
that's got to be a record.
That's unreal. That's unreal. Joshua Woods, 101 yards rushing, a career high for him. Their quarterback is tied 10-10 with 1:36 left in the fourth quarter. This Idaho team really almost pulled off. Jackson Potter there for Washington State had a big game, passing 208 yards, had a touchdown. 32-yard game-winning field goal by Jack Stevens was the game winner, but 7 tackles for loss. Idaho Vandals held Washington State rushers to 0.1 rushing yards per carry, Coach.
Well,
that is impressive. Look at the time of possession as well. 35 minutes to 24 minutes. Very good.
That's where I was about to go. As impressive as it is for them to hold it, Washington State to 3 yards rushing, for Idaho to rush for 188 yards. That's where your time of possession comes in. That's what gives them a chance to win that particular ball game. So literally, them guys are blocking up front.
Absolutely, Coach. There's been a lot of controversy. Riley, I hope we did you justice there by previewing reviewing that game, and we're going to preview a little bit more of the Tommies and Idaho coming up. But a lot of controversy about the top 25. I saw a couple of FCS podcasts talk about this, so I went ahead and put together my top 25, Coach. And you have not seen this, so live reaction of what we've got, and I'm going to kind of go through it. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but this is what I've got for the top 25. I got North Dakota State 1, South Dakota State 2, Montana State, South Dakota, Montana, who has not played a game yet, Tarleton State, Rhode Island, Idaho, UC Davis, Illinois State, Lehigh at 11, 12 North Dakota, Southern Illinois, Tennessee Tech, Jackson State, Villanova, Southern Illinois. I got Jackson State. They're so good, I got them on there twice, Coach.
I agree with that.
I got them on there twice.
I agree with that 18 ranking.
Monmouth, Nichols, Southern Utah, Austin P, Abilene Christian, Northern Arizona, New Hampshire. I'm going to go ahead and put St. Thomas at number 15. How about that? But so get Mercer out of here. Get Sac State out of here. Those teams don't belong in the top 10, and I've seen a lot about these projections. Oh, well, you got to project, you got to predict, you got to project. No, what's on the field, you can't lose to Presbyterian, a non-scholarship football program. Sacramento State, listen, they've lost a lot, 20-3. They weren't competitive against South Dakota State. Obviously, a big opponent there, but get them out of here. I'm not buying it until you see. And UC Davis drops for me. They almost got beat by Utah Tech. Anyway, your thoughts on that?
From looking at your poll there, Nathan, the first thing that jumps off the page to me is you actually gave a crap and actually looked at results and things of that nature. So I hope that all these other polls get challenged and do a better job. The only thing that I would do is, like I said, I would slide everybody up a spot, take one of them Jackson State teams out. I'd probably take the higher ranked team out. And I think we ought to look at a team like Holy Cross at number 25.
Yeah.
I'm
good with that. I think hey, listen, I think Gardner Webb, I think they are definitely a team that got a big win. Why not?
Yeah, you can look at Gardner Webb at 25 or something like that. So, but more than anything,
Austin P.
It's a good solid poll that makes sense. Now, everybody's not going to agree. I understand that, but last week's poll was, I ain't going to keep beating a dead horse, was what I'd consider lazy.
Well, listen, it's not easy because Montana likely have a good program, but you don't know. They haven't played. The team, Montana State, did not compete against Oregon. That's a top 10 ranked FBS program. We know they're going to be good, but they're 0-1. You keep them up there. You are doing some projection, but anyway, I digress. We'll beat that dead horse another time. Let's go ahead and get into our reviews. We got 14 games we're going to preview here, and we're going to start with Chattanooga and Tennessee Tech. Coach, Chattanooga, the Mocs look to bounce back from their season-opening loss at Memphis when they traveled to Cookeville to take on the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles in a non-conference matchup at Tucker Stadium. Chattanooga showed flashes of offense behind Camden Orth, who threw 114 yards and a touchdown, while running back Ryan Ingram provided a balanced 68 yards, just 8 carries. Wideout Markle Quick also emerged as a key target with 4 receptions. Defensively, the Mocs will need another strong outing to slow down Tennessee Tech squad that opened the 2025 campaign with a commanding 65-0 win over Cumberland. The Golden Eagles, the preseason favorites for the Big South and OVC, feature Eastern Washington's transfer Kiko Vesperis, who brings a proven arm poised to the offense alongside veteran wide receivers DJ Lincolns and Tremel Jones. Defensively, all-conference safety Tim Koutras anchors a unit. Huh? Koutras, thank you. Koutras, I believe you. Anchors a unit that led to hinge on whether Chattanooga led the league in total defense a year ago and look at sharp in its opener. The match will hinge on whether Chattanooga can establish offensive consistency against Tech's stingy defense. It's at Tucker Stadium, Cookeville, Tennessee, 1 o'clock on ESPN+. Coach, some thoughts on Chattanooga and Tennessee Tech.
It's one of my games that I'm going to watch. I think Tennessee Tech is much improved over the last few years. Got a much better roster than what they've had in the last couple of years. The problem that I've got is them opening up with an NAI school at Cumberland. And don't get me wrong, I know they got stuff to work on. Chattanooga opens up at Memphis, so I tend to lean towards Chattanooga because they played a little bit better competition. But it ought to be a fantastic game, and I do hope. I lean towards Chattanooga, but I do hope for Tennessee Tech.
All right. I'm thinking Kiko Vesperis, he's something special. Came from Eastern Washington, a good quarterback. This running back for the Mocs, though, Ingram, transferred from Wofford. I think watch out for him. It'll be interesting to see if the defense can hold Ingram down and Vesperis can have a good game. I'm thinking Tennessee Tech is going to pull out a victory on this one. So that's my 2 cents for Chattanooga and Tennessee Tech. Up next, we've got UAlbany at Delaware State Hornets. That's a 1:00 p.m. game on ESPN Plus, and their season opener on September 6th at Alumni Stadium. The Albany Great Danes look to bounce back after a 34-7 loss at Iowa behind a valiant effort from new quarterback and Buffalo transfer Jack Shields and standout receiver Caden Birdie, who had 3 catches and 56 yards. Under interim head coach Jared Ambrose, UAlbany aims to find offensive consistency behind the 3-headed monster backfield, including Griffin Waddell, Alex Dregg, transfer from Old Dominion, and JoJo Uga. Something like that. They were going to be rotated for balance in the backfield. Defensively, rising sophomores defensive back Donnie Jones made significant strides in the spring. Looks to be poised to contribute more heavily in the secondary as special teams role as well. Delaware State Hornets, one of my favorite logos of all time, that red and that blue and that hornet just staring right at you. They are led by former NFL veteran Deshaun Jackson, facing a matchup after a physical opening loss to Delaware. Their offense is expected to lean on transfer quarterback Caden Bennett from Sacramento State, and the playmaking senior running back Marquez Gillis rushed for 123 yards, added a receiving touchdown in the opener against Delaware. The key question for the Hornets is whether Jackson's new system can provide offensive rhythm and capitalize on Gillis's versatility. UAlbany was a good program a couple years ago, Coach. They've had a couple sliding years, but Delaware State hasn't been good in a long time. They got a new head coach over there, NFL veteran Deshaun Jackson. I'll start here. I think UAlbany should handle Delaware State pretty handily. But you know what? I do like the pieces that Coach Jackson's brought in. Deshaun Jackson. You're the OG, not OG Jackson, but the other one. I just don't think – I think it's 1,000 puzzle pieces right now that's going to have to be put together over time.
Years ago, I won my fantasy football league because somebody traded Deshaun Jackson to me, and he had a fantastic year, and it's not going to help them Saturday. I do think they have the advantage because, one advantage is they're playing them at home.
Yeah.
Another advantage is they got the sexiest uniform, the better uniforms.
Oh, yes.
They got the better logo. But I don't think none of that's going to put any points up on the board. I think Albany probably handles them pretty well, but I think again, you'll look at Delaware and say, you know what? They look better, and there's some potential there.
Coach, you're going to make some people mad. Great Danes is a great logo. I like the gold and the purple. But that horn, something about that blue and red is crisp, man. Them and Southern are my favorite uniforms.
I wish that the Danes would something else with the face of the Great Dane. One, I don't like him 2 ears sticking straight up the way they do.
Like a Great Danes does.
Yeah. But something else on the, it's just, it's a dog.
It is a dog. You're not wrong there. All right. It is a dog.
And the Hornet looks, the Hornet looks
he's
good.
Cool. Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. All right. Up next, Coach, we're going to go to Terre Haute, Indiana. It's the Sycamores hosting Eastern Illinois. It's going to be Saturday. The Panthers trek to Memorial Stadium to face them Sycamores in a really early season FCS showdown where both schools are unbeaten, of course, the first since 1984. Eastern Illinois, under fourth-year head coach Chris Wilkinson, opened the season with a dominant 24-14 victory over Dayton. Quarterback Cole LaCruz's exceptional ground performance of 193 yards and 3 touchdowns helped them to victory. Completed a balanced offensive attack and amassed 465 total yards. Meanwhile, the Sycamores, fresh off a 41-24 opening win against McKendree. Against McKendree, rode strong efforts from Ples Lawrence, who produced 133 yards rushing, 2 scores on the ground, while contributing 92 receiving yards. The series between these programs is tight historically. Eastern Illinois owns a 46-40-4 advantage, 91 all-time matchups in this one, Coach. Eastern Illinois, the Panthers, and the Sycamores. That's another 1 o'clock start there on ESPN+, Coach.
Yeah, I would favor the Panthers, but again, I'm making my decision based on who their opening opponents are.
That's what I was going to ask.
And lameness of the logos.
I do hate the Panther. He looks like a gargoyle. Come on.
Well, listen,
that looks like a gargoyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're going to be called Sycamores, how about you put a tree in there somewhere? I get it's the state of Indiana, but.
Well, I can't say a whole heck of a lot. I'm an EKU fan, and we didn't put a whole lot into the thought of our logo neither. But, it's a home game, obviously. So, they've got a little bit of an advantage there. But I'm gonna have to go with the Panthers.
You know what? I'm going to go the other way. We'll do official pick'ems here a little bit later, but I'm going to go with the Sycamores on this one. At home, 1 o'clock, Terre Haute, Indiana. Fall's coming. Eastern Illinois disappointed me last year. I thought they were primed to put together a good season, and they didn't. So, yeah, I'm going to go with. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. Lots of blue.
Yeah, lots of blue, lots of gold,
blue.
Blue and gray, and be a good game.
We're going to stay around that region, Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio. It's the Robert Morris Colonials versus the Penguins. This Saturday, the Colonials visit Stamball Stadium to take on the Penguins, an early FCS matchup. Robert Morris entered the contest after a humbling 45-3 loss at West Virginia on national television. Quarterback Zach Tanner struggled to ignite the offense, only 70 yards passing, while the ground game manages 53 yards on 37 carries, but that is an FBS opponent. So they did still manage to win the time of possession battle, 32-30. Threat running back, due to a rocky start, the Colonials are lifted by recent additions, including all-purpose threat running back Owen McGraw from Eastern Michigan and pass rusher R.J. Mukes III out of Ball State, who brings versatility to an offense in transition. The Penguins, meanwhile, opened with a strong 24-15 win over Mercyhurst behind a balanced offense effort from senior quarterback Bo Brungard, who rushed for 145 yards, 2 touchdowns, complementing his pass efficiency, 14-21 for 114 yards, and received support from strong special teams and defense. The Penguins return as a potential threat under head coach Doug Phillips. Coach, I know you love him. Plus, Brungard leading a dynamic offense alongside his bruising back Ethan Wright, a powerful runner who amassed 677 yards and 4 scores in 2024, transferred from Cincinnati. He remains a key weapon in their ground game. The Colonials and Youngstown State, I'll tell you this, I think if the Colonials can go in there and start punching and do it for 60 minutes, I think they got a good chance of competing in this game. But I would just venture to say, just history, Penguins are probably going to pick up a win here.
Listen, Doug Phillips does a good job with Youngstown, and I know there was a little down last year. I thought that maybe we were expecting a little much out of them a little early, but I think this is their particular year. And if they come out with that helmet with that great big old gnarly penguin with the skull cap on top or whatever,
it's not a skull cap. It's a toboggan. It's not a skull cap. My God.
Well, he's wearing a toboggan when it's supposed to be freezing, and it's end of August, 1st of September. So that tells you it's going to be a tough place to play. So, I look for Youngstown State to really make a run this year. I'd be surprised. I know Coach Phillips will have them prepared. I know he'll have them pumped, and I'd be surprised if they don't come out and play a good game. I think Robert Morris is probably just, might be a little overwhelmed in this particular.
I think they can keep. I think they've got talent. They've improved on last year. I think you might see an early competitive matchup, and then the Penguins pull away late. I do think the Penguins will win that one. All right, up next, the number 1 team in the country in the FCS is NDSU. They're going to be taking on Tennessee State. This one should be a good one, Coach. It's the number 1 ranked Bison. They are going to be continuing their 2025 campaign with a road test at Music City, visiting the Tennessee State Tigers, not Titans, at Nissan Stadium on ESPN+. The Bisons entered the match riding momentum from a 38-0 season-opening win at the Citadel, showcasing their trademark physicality, piling up 519 yards of offense behind quarterback Cole Payton with 103 yards rushing. It was running back Baraka New. Dang it.
Bless you.
Yeah. Had 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. Preseason hype for the Bisons. They return the core impact of players from the FCS All-American candidates. Logan Kopp and Bryce Lance boast the nation's 3rd highest scoring offense from a year ago, 38 points per game, with a stout defense of allowing just 18.6 points per game. It's going to be a tough effort for the Tigers, but it is there in Nashville. Tennessee State, they might have something for the Bisons. You never know, but this is the back-to-back trips across the country for NDSU, Coach, which can be tiring. Citadel, now Tennessee State, but this likely is going to be something that Tennessee State doesn't want any of.
Well, Nashville's got a quality airport, so they'll be able to fly in, and TSU's right down the street, so they're in good shape there. It's hard for me to pull against TSU because my uncle played for John Merritt when he was there, and John Merritt always treated me like like a son. So,
Ah,
you know, and I'll tell you this, it's going to be hard for me to pull against them because I got 2 or 3 players that I used to coach in middle school. Brock Montgomery, I hate to drop his name like that, but he transferred from Connecticut over to Tennessee State. He'll make a difference at wide receiver. Delaney Majors, he's a good little young man too. He's played when he was a freshman. I think for Tennessee State to be competitive in the game, they're probably going to have to attack the bus before he gets to the stadium.
yeah,
I,
agreed.
I don't believe that they're going to find a significant difference down in them trenches, and I don't think North Dakota State will have too terribly much of a problem, but I do believe they'll get a fantastic effort from Tennessee State. I wouldn't be surprised to see the game close. It'll be a good crowd there, despite what it looks like. I mean, the stadium's going to hold about 60, 70,000. There'll probably
Right.
be 15, 20,000 people there. But Tennessee State is, they're on the mend. Eddie George got them to a point, and we're looking to move a little bit further than that. So I expect a good game, but I do not expect to win. And at the end of the day, I think they get beat by a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on the money there. All right, up next, it's the battle. Speaking of dogs, Coach, it's the battle of the Bulldogs. It's Citadel versus Samford, and the reason I have this on here, I think this is a pitiful. Sorry,
Yeah.
I think this is a what word am I thinking of, Coach? This is a very important game for Samford. They lost.
Yeah.
They lost last week to West Georgia, and we'll talk about West Georgia just a little bit. But they're back home, Siebert Stadium there in Birmingham, Alabama, technically Homewood, Alabama. 3:30 on ESPN. The Citadel are going to travel over to Birmingham to take on Samford in this SoCon opener. The Bulldogs looking to recover from a 38-0 the Citadel Bulldogs, by the way, 38-0 opening loss to North Dakota State. We were just talking about. They were absolutely steamrolled. Meanwhile, Samford suffered a 34-3 defeat at home to West Georgia. Quincy Crichton threw for 154 yards, while senior wideout Preston Bird hauled in 11 catches for 95 yards. Samford's defense generated 2 interceptions, but did nothing with it. Historically, Citadel has had a slight edge in the series. And, Coach, I'm wondering, now Citadel was a much improved team from a season ago. Samford still licking their wounds. That's a much, listen, Samford took their licks to West Georgia. The Citadel took their licks from NDSU. That's a big difference of scale.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Citadel's not going to go in there and knock off Samford at home, on the road, rather.
I'll tell you this: both of them, the Bulldogs, although one of them looked like it's got a shock collar wrapped around it, but the guys from the Citadel, the thing I can tell you is the
God
guys
love
from the
them.
Citadel, yeah, they're going to play hard.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get listen, they don't get transfers to the Citadel. People they always lose players. If you ever get a transfer from the Citadel, that son of a gun is going to be tough as old shoe leather, whatever you want to say. But they're going to be tough kids. They're going to be well prepared kids. It would not surprise me, especially if they get ahead a touchdown, maybe 10 points or something like that. It would not surprise me to see the Bulldogs without the shot collar kind of fold. I hadn't decided yet, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Citadel too in this particular game, basically because they are what they are. Every single game, every single year. Samford's got a lot of internal things
They're not
going
happy.
on there. Yeah, and
They're not happy, and they're
and it's bleeding onto the field. It's bleeding onto the field too. So
Chris Hatcher is in a tough situation, and now he's a veteran head coach, and he's got a veteran quarterback, and sometimes that can pull you through, but you also have a lot of questions around that program that might be just bigger than what Chris Hatcher and Crichton have answers for. So
they need something to go well early. If something goes good early, I can see them handling their business. If not, I can see it going downhill pretty quick.
And I hope the fans show up and support Samford, and it's a good atmosphere for a football game, because it's a nice stadium and they put some money into it. But you can't lose. You can't lose to West Georgia the way they did. I mean, they got mollywop, to use one of your terms.
They're going to need to put a jersey on Cortland Finnegan and see if he'll come back and play on defense a little bit or something like that. Like I said, I think it'll be a good game, but if it goes bad early, if they give up a touchdown or two early, I think it steamrolls.
I think it'd be season changing for Sanford probably if they lose this one. All right. It is the Tommies traveling to the Kibbie Dome to face.
Give me the Tommies.
Yeah, let's go. He says it already. I wrote this script, Coach. You got to let me get through it. I know. Number 10, Idaho and St. Thomas at the Kibbie Dome, an early non-conference affair despite a narrow 13-10 setback to Washington State. And we talked about that earlier. Yeah, so it was a it was a very impressive defense for Idaho against Washington State. They limited that FBS opponent to just 3 yards rushing, 211 total yards, dominated time of possession, and had 188 yards rushing, led by running back Art Williams. Quarterback Joshua Wood added to his career best 101 yards rushing on the ground. The Tommies entered 2025 1-0 after a season opener win, and thanks to a 154-yard rushing performance and a touchdown by Joseph Koch, their running back, along with 2 touchdown passes from Andy Peters. This game marks the Tommies' first season in which they are fully FCS eligible. You know they're fired up. They're going to be heading out there to Moscow, Idaho. And by the way, Coach, Idaho will be wearing the Fighting Taters helmets. Brand new sponsorship, something I was looking into it, but it's not particularly a fancy helmet. It just looks like it's got a cursive writing that says the Fighting Taters on it, but it's something that's trending earlier. So you got the Tommies coming in, the Taters playing on the field. What do you think?
Well, I hope they don't get mashed.
Oh, I got something for you, Coach. Hang on a second. Wait, a sound effect here. Hang on, wait a second. Say that one more time.
I hope they don't get mashed.
There you go.
You know what? Listen, we just had the coach on, and he knows that they're up in a tough situation. I can't think of anybody else that would be able to prepare their team any better to go into that particular situation in Idaho. I don't know how they'll fare. I tell you this, I bet he empties the playbook. I bet you he had. I bet they got 2 or 3 different trick plays.
Oh, wait a second, Coach. Wait a second. They ran a fake field goal against their Lindenwood, and someone said it's a trick play. Coach Caruso doesn't call them trick plays. He says there's no trick plays. They're just good football. All right.
Well, so I bet he has 2 or 3 good football plays.
Chess moves, right? Chess moves.
Yeah. I bet he's got 2 or 3 to stir in them potatoes. And literally, I think he's going to empty the playbook. They will do whatever. They run the ball good. They throw the ball. Their quarterback's as efficient as you can get, and he's going to need to be efficient. They're going to have to play that particular game. They're going to have to play. Listen, if to beat the champ, you got to knock him out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they come to do. Now, I don't know that they get it done, but I've seen the champ knocked out enough, and they would be my challenger to the champ.
Well, you have a new head coach, and like you said, Caruso's going to empty the playbook. He's going to make them. He's going to be doing things that's trying to confuse that new coaching staff. And listen, sometimes talent, horses for courses kind of thing. They got a lot of horses there running in the Idaho course, and I think that's probably going to lift the Idaho to a win. But Tommy's going to go in there and give it a good effort, and we will see what happens. I wouldn't be shocked one bit if they came out with a victory, Coach.
It would not shock me one way. That it wouldn't shock me if they won. It wouldn't shock me if they lose. It wouldn't shock me if they won by 20 points. It wouldn't shock me if they lost by 30 points. But I do know this: no matter what they do, they're gonna empty that playbook. I guarantee. Well, I can't guarantee it, but if you could come out 7 wide, he'd come out 7 wide.
El Fumbarooski.
I'm gonna count. I'm gonna watch the game, and I'm gonna count how many good football plays old coach digs out for him. But I'm saying 3 at least.
If he wins the toss and decides to kick off, it's going to be an onside kick. You can't even do an onside kick these days anymore, I don't think. All right, here we go. All right, up next, Coach, we're going to go to Flagstaff, Arizona. Utah Tech and number 19, Northern Arizona. It is Utah Tech embarking on a 6-game road slate with a challenging trip to play Northern Arizona in Flagstaff. The Trailblazers enter still searching for their first win after dropping week 1, while NAU stumbled in its home opener on FBS against the FBS opponent Arizona State, and that was a nationally televised game as well. They fell 38-19 despite showing flashes on both sides of the ball. The Lumberjacks offense produced 331 yards in week 1, 242 through the air. Quarterback Ty Pennington throwing for 204 yards and a touchdown, supported by a deep, diverse receiving core. Defensively, standout Ramir Davis logged 9 tackles, and Michael Brisford added both a forced fumble and an interception, becoming one of the first just 5 FCS players in both in week 1. Easy for me to say. Utah Tech will aim to spoil the home opener, but I'm going to say now this is where we're going to see Utah Tech gave UC Davis a huge battle there at home and ended up losing. So, they're going to be upset. But good teams find a way to win. UC Davis found a way to win. You're going to find a lot about UT Tech right here. Utah Tech's going to find out a lot about themselves because Northern Arizona is a very, very good football team, a very fundamental football team. And if Utah Tech can go in, then that UC Davis effort wasn't a fluke. If they go in and roll over, then Utah Tech is what Utah Tech is, and that's what people thought they were to start the season.
Well, Utah Tech at home is a different animal. Utah Tech on the road is more like Dixie State, and that's what they used to be before they became Utah Tech.
Trailblazers.
Right. Yeah, I think they're gonna get blazed on the road.
Me too.
Yeah. Like I said, if it were a home game, I'd give them a puncher's chance. But with it being an away game, they got a lot to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's roll through these, Coach. We got URI at Stony Brook, Kenneth P. Laval Stadium. It is Rhode Island, number 8 in the AFCA, and number 9 in the Stats Per Forum poll, traveling to Stony Brook in a key early CAA showdown. The Rams pulled off a late comeback in their opener, defeating Campbell 31-20, thanks to quarterback Devin Farrell's 275 yards passing and 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. URI ranks first in scoring offense in the conference, averaging 31 points per game. Stony Brook will search for offensive footing after a FBS loss, and they need production from grad senior running back Roland Dempster. He had over 1,300 yards and 18 touchdowns in 2024. They need consistency under center as well. Quarterback still kind of remains unsettled. Casey Case and Chris Zelius both expect to play. Linebacker A.J. Pena, a Buck Buchanan contender, will lead the defense for Stony Brook. This is a good Stony Brook football team, but I really believe this is probably Rhode Island's game to win on the road. I think this is going to be a game for the Roadies to pick up and walk away with.
Yeah, close game, but I think what you're going to find with URI this year, they're going to win they're going to win most of their games by 10 points.
All right, I like it. Up next, we are going to, oops-a-daisy, we're going to go to Holy Cross and New Hampshire. Wildcat Stadium in Durham, New Hampshire. Holy Cross 0-1 hits the road to face New Hampshire, who's 1-0 in the Patriot League. Cross-division matchup. The Crusaders coming off a narrow 21-20 home loss to New Hampshire from last season. A finish still stings the fans as a reminder of how tight this boundary can be, while specific 2025 offensive numbers aren't fully available yet because both these teams are still figuring things out. Holy Cross boasts a game changer in Elijah Kaysen, whose electrifying 97-yard kickoff return tied for the second longest in program history, earning him Patriot League Special Teams Player of the Week. Expect New Hampshire to lean on home field advantage and cautious ball security against the Crusaders squad with special teams playmaking. I think this one's going to be close, Coach. I'm going to look at probably Holy Cross going in and picking up a surprising road win against the Wildcats of New Hampshire.
I agree with you there, Nathan. I think it's going to be a fantastic game too. I think it's going to be close. Both teams have a lot in common. New Hampshire may not have as much on the offensive side of the ball Holy Cross does. But I'm leaning towards Holy Cross there too. Mainly that they've been moving up and up for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And listen, I like the way they play, so I'm leaning towards Holy Cross, but that's going to be a fantastic game.
All right, up next, it's the Spiders and Wofford, Gibbs Stadium, Spartanburg, South Carolina, 6 p.m. on ESPN+. The Spiders were ranked number 25 in the stats perform and tied at 22 in the coaches poll. Hit the road to face the Terriers in what promises to be a pivotal. That's the word I was thinking about earlier. Pivotal. Jeez, Manish. Early season Patriot League versus Southern Conference crossover matchup. Richmond struggled in their opener, falling 21-14 at Lehigh, despite Kyle Wickersham, their quarterback, mustering 113 passing yards. Running back Aziz Foster Powell had 32 yards rushing only, and wide receiver Jaden Fair piling up 52 receiving yards. Yeah, right. Wofford, meanwhile, is eager to rebound after dropping their season opener, but the Terriers have shown resilience in recent Southern Conference matchups versus Richmond, and so I think this is kind of what I was going to say about Samford. Richmond has got to come out and play well. Lehigh was a ranked opponent. I'm not saying that's a bad loss for them, but they've been piling up losses over the last couple of years, Coach. This is a team that Richmond should beat, I think. Can't go in there and stub your toe if you're Richmond. You've got to pick up a win for the Spiders, and I'm going to go ahead and say the Spiders walk out of there with a road win.
I kind of agree with you. Spartanburg's a tough place to play, though.
It is.
Wofford, they got a lot of good school spirit. They've got it'll be a decent little crowd. I mean, it'll be a smaller crowd. I think the stadium holds 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 somewhere in there, but it'll be packed. It's a beautiful area out there. But yeah, Richmond should win. If Richmond is supposed to be what they are, that they should win this game and really should win it a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any question. All right, let's bring our friends, the Vaqueros, back in. We are 1-0 after a 66-0 victory over Sul Ross State, which is, I think that's in San Salvador or somewhere. I'm not sure. Anyway, powered by quarterback Eddie Lee Marsberger, 5 touchdown passes and Bolding, but the lopsided win. The Vaqueros open up play against Prairie View A&M, who's also 1-0. The Panthers enter unbeaten, boasting top conference billing in the West. And early indicators, a balanced attack with quarterback Cameron Peters leading with 295 yards per last week. Also with Chase Bingham adding over 50 yards rushing. So it's going to be, by the way, that's the old Prairie View logo because the new one is terrible. They changed the logo in 2018. And they got rid of the Panther. I ain't using it. It's ugly. Anyway, we've been fussing about people's logos tonight. I don't know what's going on, but the Vaqueros traveling to Panther Stadium in Prairie View, Texas, 7 p.m. start. That is actually on the SWAC TV if you have that subscription. So Vaqueros and Prairie View, Coach.
I love the Vaqueros. I love what they're doing. I love that stadium. I love the electricity that's flowing through the Vaquero veins right now, and they're going to need every bit of it when they go to Prairie View because if you heard touchdown Vaqueros enough last week, you're probably not going to hear it a lot this week.
What was that, 7 times, 6 times, 7 times? I'm sure.
You might hear it twice this week.
Yeah.
Prairie View's got a good team.
They do. Much improved. Yep.
Much improved. I think they're picked. A lot of people are picking them to win their side of the SWAC.
That's right.
Year.
They sure are.
Good win over Texas Southern, and we probably should have covered that a little bit more. I think them two coaches had a little bit of beef. The Prairie View coach specifically, best I remember what he said is whatever elementary school he went to, they didn't have recess, so they don't play. He don't play no games. And I believe they're gonna have that same attitude when they come out Saturday. And I got to give a shout out to my college roommate, Joe Johnson. His son, Jared Johnson, is an incoming freshman at Prairie View and loves it down there. So that's where I would lean. I think I think Prairie View has got a good team.
Yeah, I do too. They're not a laughing stock anymore. 20 years ago, Prairie View had lost like 60 games in a row. This is not the same Prairie View from back in the day. This is going to be a good football program, and I think probably the Vaqueros are going to get a welcome to the FCS that they wish they hadn't
Yeah.
hadn't had. Go back to Sul Raw State and pick up 66 points, but you're not going to put up 66 points. I'd be surprised if you pick up 10 points against Prairie View. This is going to be a good football team, and the Panthers are going to pick up a win, and Vaqueros are going to pick up their first FCS loss, in my opinion, Coach. Just my humble opinion. All right, let's go to one of your favorite places, Camp Girardeau, Missouri. Excuse me, 7 p.m. ESPN Plus, Houck Field. It's North Alabama versus SEMO. They're both 0-1, Coach. This is going to be a pretty good matchup. Jax Leatherwood threw for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns against Arkansas State. It was a 42-24 defeat for SEMO. Running back Brandon Epton Jr. added a rushing score, and wide receiver Donnie Cheers hauled in a 96-yard touchdown catch. Now they're hoping they have their home opener, and SEMO welcomes the Lions, who struggled in their home opener. Quality currently sitting 0-1 and did not have much of output offensively. Quarterback Ari Patu passed for 86 yards, and rusher Destin Wade 34 yards. This was not a very good offensive performance for the North Alabama Lions. I think they got big problems over there. I like what Coach Beeman was starting to do there, but it looks like things are the paint's chipping off the walls a little bit there for North Alabama. So I think SEMO's gonna lay the wood to the Lions there at home.
Well, I know what SEMO's got. Coach Matukowicz does a great job with his team every year as far as preparation. They got that new side of the stadium, so that'll be rocking. They'll they'll have a good turnout. They've got good support. I'm more interested to see what North Alabama brings to the table, because they're at a Coach Dearman's at a pivotal point in that place too. And listen, one of these days, North
Brent
Alabama.
Dearman, thank you. Brent Dearman is the head coach there.
One of these days, they're going to be the team that everybody doesn't want to play because of where they're located. They got stadium upgrades coming and all that good stuff there. But
fan base is fantastic for North Alabama as well.
And got some great little eating spots down there. Dude, I can't remember where we went, but dude, they got a little hamburger joint downtown that's off the chain. But that ain't gonna help them Saturday. Traveling to SEMO, playing at SEMO. I look for that game to get out of hand. Again, I hope North Alabama. Listen, they're UAC squad. You want them to move up, but I believe that they're they could be in some trouble.
I just noticed the stadium is Houck's Stadium, and their coach is Took. Hawk Took. Anyway. Leave your
I don't have
comments.
I don't have no audio effects.
Never mind. Okay. Moving on to our next matchup. It's South Dakota Yotes, number 4 in the country. Going to be playing Provost Humphrey Stadium in Beaumont, Texas. That is Lamar, their logo. The Cardinals, South Dakota, the Coyotes, and Lamar. Of course, preseason ranking number 4, led by an explosive offense that averaged nearly 36 points per game with over 215 yards, 220 passing yards per outing, 2024. South Dakota travels to Beaumont first for road opener. Listen, this Lamar team is coached by Pete Rosamondo. I picked them to beat North Texas last week, and it didn't happen. All right, that was my bad. They got shut out. That was my bad. And I'm not going to pick them again this week, but I can tell you, I like what Pete Rosamondo's doing there at Lamar. This was a football program that was in shambles a couple of years ago. He's come in and extremely well respected, extremely organized, extremely well recruited, and now Lamar is going to be a competitive team. They will compete against South Dakota, lose, but they will compete against South Dakota. And I like what Pete Rosamondo's doing there. I want that for the record, but I think the Yotes are going to go in there and pick up a win.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Lamar's 150% better on better grounds than what they were. They've got a good team. They've got a good little program. I applaud them for playing the competition that they're playing, because there was a time that Lamar didn't schedule, or maybe people didn't want to schedule them. I don't know.
Well, the old Southland was kind of
Yeah, just kind of in flux, which
Yeah,
the logo is in flux too. The
it is.
Cardinal looks like they cut his head off at the wrong point, and
And
it
his
looks like a
eyes,
fish.
yeah, his
Yeah,
eyes like, oh God, my body.
yeah, yeah. It looks like a fish to me, but either way, I think Lamar plays hard, but I think they are completely overmatched as far as their roster goes.
Yeah. Get a new logo, Lamar.
Please,
Rebrand,
yeah.
please. Lord have mercy. All right, let's go to. We talked about West Georgia just a little bit earlier. They're going to be playing the number 22 team in the country, Nichols, there in Thibodaux, Louisiana. Well, West Georgia 1-0 with that win over Sanford. Nichols picked up a win against UIW and then lost this past weekend against Troy in a FBS matchup. West Georgia going in. This is going to be a good competition for this squad, Joel Taylor's squad there for West Georgia. And listen, again, I think they're going to go in there and be competitive. I think Nichols is going to win this football game. But West Georgia is going to learn a lot about themselves and grow from this contest, Coach.
Let me tell you, I think West Georgia is kind of a sleeping giant. I would not be surprised, and I hope maybe I'm the first person to say this. I would not be surprised to see them go down to Thibodaux and thump Nicholls State. I think it would be a statement win for them if they get it. But let me tell you, West Georgia they got some dudes. When you look out there on the field, they got some dudes. They got a receiver that I think he's 6'5". He is built. Golly, they got some dudes. I'll leave it at that. I will not be surprised if they don't win this game, and wouldn't be surprised if they don't win it going away.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, if Nichols thinks that West Georgia is the Division II West Georgia and they're going to just go in there and roll, got another thing coming. That West Georgia team is good. They need a new logo too, by the way. That just the letters is not okay. Well, consult with us. We'll tell you which direction to go. They're the Wolves. All right, game day in Abilene, Texas at Wildcat Stadium. Stephen F. Austin back in the Southland. They're 0-1, but number 22 in the country. Abilene Christian, number 16 in the country. It's the Lone Star Showdown. Coach, we love what Kobe Carthel's doing there and Keith Patterson there in ACU. Lots of stuff happening here for this one. It's a ranked matchup, Coach. Extremely excited to watch this one. 8 p.m. on ESPN+. I think it's probably going to be one of the better games of the weekend. I think Abilene Christian is going to pick up a win against the Jacks, and I really believe that Abilene Christian is I think they just have the pieces in place to really have a solid outing against Stephen F. Austin, who seems like they have been on like a moving platform over the last couple of years.
Abilene Christian has the better logo than Stephen F. Austin. That's a given. They got a nicer stadium than Stephen F. Austin. Abilene Christian's got dude. It's fair, and I think they have the better team than Stephen F. Austin. The Rev's not going to like that, and he ain't going to want to hear that. But
no.
I believe I believe Abilene Christian is going to end up closer to the top 10 than the other end of the top 25, and I think they're a solid playoff team. It would not surprise me if they don't win the UAC this year.
Wow! All right, I like it. I do like Stephen F. Austin, the logo, the axe. Anyway. All right, where we're going to go here, Coach, we have just a couple more games. No, just one more game, right? We've got one more matchup to talk about, and here it is. It's the number 2 team in the country against the number 3 team in the country. South Dakota State traveling to Bozeman, Montana, 8 p.m. ESPN+. Montana State, number 3. South Dakota State, number 2. This marquee FCS showdown pits reigning powerhouses against each other. A defending champion from a couple years ago, and now the number 3 Montana State. It's a rematch from some of those great contests they had in the playoffs. South Dakota State opened up with a strong 20-3 win over Sacramento State behind a commanding ground game of Julius Luffridge that transferred from Fordham. 159 yards, efficient play calling from Chase Mason, who's under center while controlling possession and field position, while Montana State looks to rebound after a 59-13 rout by FBS opponent Oregon, despite standing out performances from Taco Dowler, 12 catches and 107 yards, and a steady effort from Justin Lampson, the quarterback there, Coach. This is a marquee matchup. It's early on in the season. You're probably not going to get the most crisp football out of these two teams, but let me tell you, Brent Vegan is going to be ready to play. Montana State at home is very, very tough. I'm picking the Bobcats to upset South Dakota State, Coach.
Man, everybody ought to watch this game. It's nationally televised, fantastic fan bases on both sides. I don't doubt that South Dakota State don't travel pretty well too. They'll bring their share of fans. You know, gosh, it's so even. I wish that I knew more about Montana State's quarterback situation, but they got him at home too. So I would have to go with Montana State. Basically just because it's a home game. I think it's a toss up. It is a probably a preview of a second, third round playoff game. It does not really matter to me who wins or who loses this ball game, because whoever plays them next is in trouble. So I think it's a measuring stick for both teams, but I don't. I'm inclined to go with you with Montana State because it's at their place.
All right, that's it. So let's go ahead and go through our picks real quick. Chattanooga, Tennessee Tech. I picked Tennessee Tech. You picked Chattanooga, I do believe, correct?
Correct.
All right, we'll get Brandon's picks as well. Eastern Illinois, I picked Indiana State. You picked
Eastern Illinois.
That's what I was thinking. St. Thomas and Idaho, we both got the Vandals on this one, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, Coach.
I hate to say that. Golly. And let me tell you something. He's lying when he said he's not a pregame speech coach. I bet you he gives a good pregame speech too.
Jeez. I mean, after that, he reminded me. Listen, he reminded me of that feeling in the locker room when you get a good freaking butt chewing and you're ready to
I bet he gives a good pregame, halftime, and postgame speech.
Yeah, and he's very he's just very laid back and conversational about everything, which is amazing. We so appreciate Coach Caruso coming on. All right, Rhode Island and Stony Brook, Coach. I got the Roadies here.
I got Rhode Island.
Okay, and Holy Cross and New Hampshire. I got the Crusaders.
I got Holy Cross.
North Alabama and SEMO. I think we both go on SEMO on that one, yeah?
Yep.
South Dakota State, Lamar, South Dakota for both of us. And West Georgia, Nichols. You got West Georgia.
I'm taking West Georgia.
And I got Nichols. And Stephen F. Austin and Abilene Christian. We both went Abilene Christian, I believe.
I'm going with the Wildcats, yes, sir.
Yep. And for number 2, South Dakota State, Montana State for both of us. All right. Sounds great. Coach, what a job. First of all, I do have to give the obligatory, please like and subscribe to the podcast. We're trying to grow it. This is a very first live broadcast. So we're out here, and I see the people that we got actually people watching and liking. You can also comment in the chat as well. I think I can see it. I'm not sure. We're still trying to figure things out. But like and subscribe. It costs you nothing to subscribe. You just have to click the button to say subscribe, like, and then hit the bell notification. You'll see when we go live as we do more of these. And we're going to do some fan shows where I can send you the link and you can jump on and we can talk about whatever you want to. So that'll be kind of fun. So yeah, like and subscribe. We're also going to be on Spotify as well. If you like that platform better, give us a 5-star review or a review of some kind so we can kind of see what you're thinking, whether you like us, don't like us, or whatever. And and then look for us on Sunday night as we do the review. We talk about the games from the night before. Try and have a coach join us if we can. But so thankful that Coach Caruso took the time out, said some nice words about our program, which is very, very appreciative. And thank you so much, Kelsey, his SID, for setting it up. Coach Caruso, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Good luck here versus Idaho. We'll be rooting for you, even though we didn't pick you. But Coach Jackson, what you got this weekend?
I'm going to head go up to Richmond. We probably don't. I don't know if we're going to leave tomorrow, but I will leave Friday, about midday, and we'll head up to Richmond. I think Eastern's got Houston Christian, a good Houston Christian team coming to town. I'll be interested to see them again. Last time I seen them, they was Houston Baptist, and they had Bailey Zappi
Yeah.
at quarterback. So I'd be interested to see that, and wish the Colonels luck in that game. And then hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with Ryan. I meant to ask Coach if he had any good advice for a new up and coming coach. But hopefully we'll get to talk to Ryan a little bit, and then we're gonna come on back to the house.
Good. Well, send him our love, and you guys have a safe trip. I have a weekend off after being at Georgia Tech all week last weekend, so I'm going to be watching football. And then my Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing the Atlanta Falcons at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. My sweet Elizabeth girlfriend, for my birthday, she got me tickets, so we will be there watching the Bucs and the Falcons on Sunday. But we'll be back in the home studio. Yeah.
Dude, shout out to sweet Elizabeth. Dude, you got tickets to the ball game. I got an ice maker.
Yeah. You had to buy yourself, I'm sure.
And I had to get my own blasted birthday gift. Dude, shout out to Miss Elizabeth. What a fantastic young lady, and a beautiful young lady.
She is stunning. She is stunning, no doubt. She is a beauty. Well, look, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. It is our first live show. We're very weird, but I appreciate it. Brandon, thank you so much. Sorry you couldn't join, buddy, but we love you, and we will get you back here shortly. Thanks again to Coach Caruso and the St. Thomas Athletic Department for putting that interview together. Best of luck versus Idaho. Coach, safe travels up to Richmond, Kentucky. This has been the FCS Checkdown for Coach Ron Jackson. I'm Nathan McCreary. We say, let's go. It's football week 2 in the FCS. Come on.